for another Coffee with Kilroy on Sanctuary Sunday. Sanctuary! Yes, the day where I take a break from war games, or try to, and cover other topics that are not sci-fi or fantasy, because that's for Saturday. Today, I thought I'd have a cup of coffee and look at a few Allstar Replays. Now, what was Allstar Replay? Well, this was a magazine published by Avalon Hill Game Company, house organ or whatever you want to call it, for their sports games. And so Avalon Hill started off with war games, but quickly branched out into a wide variety of games. And I've covered some of their catalogs and inserts over time, especially on Coffee with Kilroy. So check that out if you want to look at some of the nostalgic looks at what Avalon Hill provided in games through some of their catalogs and the like. But sports games were kind of a staple of mine. I cut my teeth after, of course, playing, Clue and chess and Risk. I got into sports games actually before I got into war games. And so, designed a few baseball games or as my first designs when I was, 9, 10, 11 years old. And always was a big fan of baseball games, and then got into football games and basketball games and hockey and boxing and horse racing and you name it. And Avalon Hill provided games in a lot of these different areas. And they had this magazine called The General for their war games, and then they had this Allstar Replay for their sports games. And so I collected these, not for collecting purposes, but for use, because they had great articles in there as far as alternative rules or supplements or new players or new ways to play the game, or actually inside baseball, so to speak, ways of creating your own players or creating your own boxers, or giving you historic horses for win, place, and show, or racetracks for the racing games. Whatever you want to think about, these games or these magazines added to those games. Kind of like maybe C3I adds to GMT games. These added a lot to Avalon Hill sports games. And so this one is just going to be a quick page. I'm not going to do a full page through on any one of these. I'm just going to kind of take a quick look at these. These are the ones that I bought over time, and ones I salvaged. You can see this one. This one's a little waterlogged here. These earlier ones here. I had in one of my moves, I had a pipe break, and I had all my games sitting on the floor because they were like one of the last things I moved. I had taken them off bookcases and then moved the bookcases, and then it came back to get the games. And in between, over that night or early that morning, there was a pipe break because it was in the dead of winter. And a lot of games got destroyed. And luckily, I kept everything on Board Game Geek, at least an inventory. I was able to use that with insurance and got a lot of stuff replaced. But there were some things you just can't find, like you can't find these anywhere. And so, there might be digital. I know you can get the General on a digital form, but I don't know if you can get these. But even so, the supplements that came with these was really the heart of what I really enjoyed the most. And a lot of those are saved because I put them in the game themselves. So I'd get these and I'd put them in the game. But anyway, so that's a whole nother story about how to store your games. And the fact that I bagged stuff came in very, very handy. It saved a lot of components. but again, it's kind of a horror story to even think about how that happened and what I went through. It's first world problem, right? But it still was pretty traumatic at the time. Anyway, so and I might do separate coffee with Kilroy's where I'll maybe take one of these and just kind of look into them themselves and see what, kind of go over it, kind of a walk down memory lane, so to speak. But this one is just more of a Sanctuary Sunday high level view of Allstar Replay, and I'll probably talk a little bit about what I bought it for. So like this one here, I got this for Title Bout. I was a big Title Bout fan, love Title Bout, still like Title Bout, and I think it's one of the best boxing games I've played. I've tried some other ones that have come along after the fact, but Title Bout still holds a special place for me. And I even developed a shortened version of Title Bout. Actually, it's based on one of the rule sets that are in one of these All-Star Replays. I took that and kind of modified it myself and made my own simplified version of Title Bout. But I never published it or anything like that. But anyway, so this one's a little stiff because of the little bit of the waterlog there. But these magazines, would have they would have articles and talk about, sports. So if you're a sports fan, they would have some good sports articles in there. But they would also have, here's a recipe, here's a rules for solitaire for pay dirt. I never got into that game. But you can have all kinds of different articles in here. Here's some stuff about Speed Circuit. Another game I never really got into for Avalon Hill games or their sports games. But, fighting Title Bout, I love Title Bout. And here I had an extra set of these. So if anybody's interested in Title Bout, I have an extra set of these because I cut these out and put them in the game proper. But these got a little waterlogged, but not too bad for the wear. But they would have these articles and they would give out these supplements, and that was just awesome. And this one, I'm not sure what I got this one for. This one, you had always had, a lot of these, they would add historic horse races or horses from time, and that was something that was really kind of cool, and I really liked collecting those. I really liked Win Placer Show, and Win Placer Show is really a good party game actually, because you can use it for a fundraiser, but it's not as streamlined as a lot of the horse racing games that are out there now, but I really did like it because it also had a little bit more of a sim to it. It was trying to simulate or replicate how those horses performed over time. And so that was something that I like because and thing that I carried on into with war games, because that's one thing I like about war games is the history that's involved with it and how close it is to history. Mike Weaver there. I really liked Mike Weaver. I was kind of followed him a little bit back in the day, and he never really went very far. But so they would inevitably have, the ones I bought, they would have an article that I was interested in. Here, I got some stuff in here. Don't know what that is, but I've got some stuff shoved in here. But the ones I ended up picking up were ones that had something that had either an insert or something that I found really interesting and wanted to get. This is Win Placer Show Steeplechase, easy for you to say. But they would have, all kinds of different articles in here about sports. Here's the mini game. I think this might be part of, or might have been the basis for that mini game that I developed for a Title Bout, that I really should dust that off and see how close I got to being done on that. I went through a period where I just had a lot of energy and creativity and came up with design after design after design, but inevitably I'd burn out and move on to the next one. And here's a way to performance points, how to rank Title Bout boxers. And I would inevitably never finish them. I finished a few, and I published a few, and I put those on Board Game Geek, so you might take a look there under NAP 16. Got a few games out there. One that actually won a Charles S. Roberts, so that was a while back. Here's more Triple Crown winners for horse racing. And Hearns versus Leonard. This is kind of going into a little bit detail on that one. And I imagine that they probably had a Hearns versus Leonard cards in here. Yeah, here you go. You can play Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas Hearns. That was a pretty big matchup back in the day. And so, as I said, these were just, I mean, again, these aren't all of them. These are the ones I just picked up because I probably had something specific that I wanted. But these were just, if you followed any of these games, these were like, essential to get for, here's role playing with Title Bout, because you can do kind of like a career mode. But these were essential for the games, in my opinion. I mean, to supplement and update it with certain stuff. So I'd have notes and stuff in here. Oh, this is a golf game. So this is the mini game for Pro Golf. I didn't own Pro. I ended up downloading Pro Golf off some site years later. But this was a mini game for Pro Golf, and I was kind of developing it based on the 1985 PGA Tour. So I got the yearbook here, and so I had different courses in here, and I was going to go ahead and do my own mini game for it. As I said, I was quite the industrious game designer back in the day, and sports games is what I started with. So I always had a soft spot for doing sports games. So, and if you hadn't noticed watching my channel, if this is not your first time watching my channel, you probably know that one of the things I do on my channel is I kind of tell the story of my life through games in some respect. Talk about events that happened in my life and stuff going on with my family from time to time, but it's kind of telling my life story in some respect through games. And again, I mostly focus on war games because that is something that I've was started early with and then have come back to from time and again, and something that I really identify with, and so and really like the history. So that's why this channel is mostly that. But as I said, on weekends and on Sanctuary Sunday, I might go a little bit outside that realm and go into some of this stuff. Now here's some revised boxing charts. You versus the champion. Here's some charts here. Oh yeah, this is like how to modify some of your boxers and the like. So anyway, these were really good for me. I enjoyed these more than the general, actually, because I didn't have all the games that were in the general. I had quite a few Avalon Hill games, but not a lot of the ones that they covered. But I had, again, I would buy this specific issue that had something with Title Bout or Win, Place, or Show or Status Pro football or Status Pro basketball or pennant chase. As I said on some previous videos, if I ever get around to doing a segment on baseball, I mean, that's going to be a long segment. I've done one on just an overview of football. I did that on Super Bowl Sunday, last Sunday. Today I'm doing basketball. But when I get to baseball, I've got a lot of baseball games. That is something that I just have way too many basketball games. So here is pro basketball. So I got this for probably for this article that kind of breaks down the cards and the numbers and stuff like that. And then El Regatta, there was a sailboat game for that Avalon Hill did. I didn't get that one. So I really did like Win, Place, and Show. So I picked up these all the time for that. Here's Pennant Race. I developed several seasons from history. I was a real big baseball fan and a history buff on baseball. I kept all the references and the encyclopedias or whatever that keep track of all the stats. And so I made several seasons of Pennant Race and actually went back pre-1900 through some of the books I had and made some Pennant Race type teams this was an interesting game. It was a way to do a whole season in a relatively short period of time, by just rolling dice. It was kind of a dice way to you play a game, you roll dice and it simulates a whole game, and then you move on to the next game and keep doing it. But you got to manage your team and deal with injuries and all that kind of stuff. So Pennant Race is an interesting game. And this one had some how to make your own basketball. Yeah, here's some charts on how to make your own basketball players for pro basketball. And I ended up making those for the college team that I followed when I was in college, and made up some historic teams and some all-star teams and all kinds of stuff there. So, there's Slapshot. I ended up getting a Slapshot from Columbia Games. I think they own the rights to it now. So I need to look at that. Look at that. You all helped me out by me doing this today, because I can look this up and see what's different rules for Slapshot since I picked that up. Anyway, there you have it. That is a look down memory lane at Allstar Replay, which I really enjoyed over the years and really found very useful in augmenting my games, and got hours and hours and hours of enjoyment. I played sports games a lot more vigorously and long and into the night than maybe even war games. I've played a lot of war games over my life, but man, I spent hours and hours on baseball games, Stratomatic baseball, a lot of that, pro basketball, a lot on that, title bout, and the like. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. All-Star Replay. Love to know your thoughts on this. Did you subscribe to All-Star? I didn't subscribe. I just picked these up, as I saw fit. But did you subscribe to All-Star Replay? Did you get All-Star Replay? Did you play sports games, or the Avalon Hill sports games? And what did you think of these? And love to know your thoughts on that. I usually say good, bad, or ugly, but now I'm going to say win, place, or show. What are your thoughts on these as far as utility and interest and the like? So that's what I have for you today on Sanctuary Sunday and Coffee with Kilroy. You're getting a twofer there. And later on today, you're going to see something about basketball, so stay tuned for that. And I will continue to probably do some sports on Sanctuary Sunday, but I also will get into some, again, it really Sunday is dedicated to non-war games and non-sci-fi or fantasy, because those two have their home on Saturdays. So anyway, love to know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for stopping by. And the best way I know you stop by is drop a comment. Love to know what you think on anything better. Just keep it simple. That's what I have for you all. Take care. Thanks for watching.